Sup, dude? Wilt Chamberlain is an NBA god. Standing at 7'1", 275 pounds, the dude looked like some sort of mythical being on the court. He had octopus arms and long legs that earned him the nickname Stilt. According to Basketball Reference, another nickname of his is the Load. Growing up, I heard many folk tales about the Load. He was the one who scored 100 points in a game, he could bench nearly 600 pounds, and he had sex with 20,000 women. I'm guessing that's why they called him the Load. I personally thought of Wilt as this otherworldly deity. His accomplishments were so absurd it was impossible to think of him any other way. I mean, shit, on top of the accomplishments I just mentioned, in 1962 he averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds. The dude was nothing short of amazing. With that being said, nobody's perfect, and Wilt is no exception. He had many flaws, but his biggest was his ability to lead his team to victory. During the 60s, despite putting up unbelievable stats, Wilt won just a single championship. There are two big reasons for this, the first being none other than the Lord of the Rings, Bill Russell. Bill won 9 out of the 10 finals during the 60s. He had the entire NBA held by its nuts. The reason Bill and the Celtics were so dominant was first, obviously, they had a very talented team with a bunch of Hall of Famers, but along with that, Bill played team basketball. He didn't care so much about putting up a ton of points. All he wanted to do was get the win every night. That was the difference between him and Wilt. Wilt had a bit more of an ego, which led him to accomplishing many absurd statistical feats, but at the cost of team success. The result of his drive for personal accomplishments was 72 NBA records, some of which include averaging 23 rebounds per game for his career. Along with that, he scored over 4,000 points in one season, and one time he pulled down 55 rebounds on Bill's head. Wilt was obsessed with his statistical feats. He went as far as keeping track of his own stats in his head to make sure they got it right. Although it was very selfish, the records he holds are amazing. Winning's very important, but putting up stats is still cool. People like to knock Wilt for not playing team basketball, which is understandable, but he wasn't selfish his whole career. During the first half of his career, he was a volume bucket getter, but then when he hit his 30s, Wilt's playstyle switched from a volume bucket getter to a big-ass playmaker. During the 1967 season, he averaged a Nikola Jokic-like 9 assists per game. The dude stopped looking to shoot first and instead looked to dish it to his teammates. This switch up in playstyle brought Wilt and his team tons of success. He led Philly all the way to the finals that year and won his first ring in a 4-2 series win over his former team, averaging 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 7 assists. Winning is always fun, especially when it's on the wonderful app Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. It adds a ton of excitement to watching NBA games. How it works is you pick 2 to 6 players and then pick more or less for their Prize Picks projection. Normal entries can win you up to 25 times your money. I've been using Prize Picks for a while now, and I've had a lot of fun, especially when I see slips like this. If you want to join in on the fun, go click the link in my description and sign up for Prize Picks using code NBAGoober for a first-time deposit match. Anywho, after Wilt won his first ring in 67, he didn't win another until 1972 when he was a 35-year-old Laker playing in his second to last season ever. Although he was in his twilight years of his career, he wasn't no bum. He won Finals MVP, averaging 23 points and 19 rebounds. After that ring, he played just one more season, made the finals again, lost per usual, and then retired. Because Wilt put up such insane stats but didn't win a lot, many people, including myself, give him crap and look at him a bit negatively. Sure, we can recognize his playstyle for a lot of his career did not lead to wins, but that doesn't mean it wasn't cool as shit. His offensive game was a work of art. He used a ton of these backhanded finger roll thingamajigs as well as fadeaways. A lot of people may not have known that, but yes, Wilt took a lot of fadeaways. He wasn't just this giant who scored because he was bigger than everyone. Of course, a lot of his points came from that, but he had skill too. In addition to that, he was one of the greatest athletes the world had ever seen. As you can tell from his nuts being halfway down this guy's throat, he jumped like he had springs in his shoes, and along with that, he was extremely fast and strong. One time he dislocated Gus Johnson's shoulder simply just by blocking him. His outrageous athleticism, along with his ability to put the ball in the basket, made him virtually impossible to guard. Although Bill usually came out on top during their matchups, he was always terrified of Wilt. He said the first time he played against him, he got fucked up so bad, Wilt put a fear in his heart that made him vow to do whatever it takes to beat him. Well, that ended up going to plan. Along with his offensive dominance, as you can probably imagine, Wilt was also a force to be reckoned with on defense. I don't think there's much explaining that needs to be done for that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just look at him. He's a demigod. Despite blocks not being tracked during those days, it's estimated that Wilt averaged like 10 blocks a night. The stat lines this dude was putting up were actually stupid. He was way ahead of his time. Back during those days, Wilt couldn't even use his strength like how Shaq did because of defensive rules. As you can see from this clip, he's very soft on the post-up, unlike Shaq, who utilized his power to move defenders out of his way. Defensive rules drastically affect how the game is played. Today we're seeing defensive rules turn the game into an offense-heavy, fast-paced, bucket-scoring fuckfest. As time goes on, it seems like this is how the NBA is gonna stay. You can click here to watch the video I made on that. I hope you like this one. Thanks for watching. Bye, dude.